August Garden Tips. Keep your garden thriving. Welcome to our gardening channel. August is a month of transition in the garden. The summer heat might still have its fiery fingers gripping the earth, but the days are drawing in, shortening ever so slightly, a subtle whisper of the autumn to come. It's a critical time, these weeks of August, a time to guide your garden through the change, to ensure it remains healthy and productive as the seasons turn. And that's what we're here for today. We'll be walking you through those essential tasks, those little acts of care that will keep your garden thriving throughout August. Now, the first thing to remember about an August garden is that it needs to be watered with a certain sympathy, a gentle hand. The heat can be a cruel mistress, baking the ground hard and dry. So, when you do water, do it early in the morning, or as the sun begins to set. That way, the moisture has a chance to penetrate the soil before the sun gets too strong and encourages evaporation. And think deep, not frequent. A good soaking every few days rather than a sprinkle every day encourages the roots to burrow down deep into the cool earth, making them stronger and more resilient. It's about working with nature, you see, helping your plants find their own strength. And if you want to be truly efficient, consider a soaker hose or a drip irrigation system. These deliver water directly to the roots, minimizing waste and ensuring every precious drop goes exactly where it's needed most. It's a bit of an investment, yes, but your plants will thank you for it. August is a time of abundance, a time when the garden truly offers up the fruits of your labor. Tomatoes, plump and heavy on the vine, peppers glistening with a rainbow of colors, cucumbers cool and crisp. It's enough to make a gardener's heart sing. But the key to keeping this bounty coming is regular harvesting. Don't be shy. Pick those vegetables as soon as they're ready. The more you pick, the more the plant is encouraged to produce. It's a beautiful cycle, a partnership between you and the plant. And the same goes for your fruit trees and bushes. Pick those fruits at their peak of ripeness. You'll enjoy the fullest flavor, and you'll prevent overripe fruit from attracting unwanted guests. Those pesky wasps and birds that love a free meal. And if you find yourself with a glut of produce, well, that's a wonderful problem to have. Share it with friends and neighbors, or try your hand at preserving. Jams, chutneys, pickles, they're all a taste of sunshine captured in a jar, a reminder of the garden's bounty long after the summer has faded. Now, even as you're enjoying the last hurrah of summer, it's time to start thinking about the autumn. Late August is the perfect time to begin preparing your garden for a new season of growth. Start by clearing out any spent crops. Those tired old tomato plants, the straggly remains of the lettuce. They've served their purpose and can be composted down to nourish next year's growth. And while you're at it, wage war on those weeds. They'll be trying to take advantage of any bare soil, so get them out before they have a chance to establish themselves. Once your beds are clear, give them a boost with some well-rotted manure or compost. This will replenish the nutrients that have been depleted over the summer, giving your fall crops a good foundation to grow strong and healthy. And speaking of fall crops, now's the time to start thinking about sowing those cool season vegetables. Lettuce, spinach, kale, they all thrive in the cooler temperatures of autumn. You can start them off indoors now and transplant them outside later when the weather cools down. Chapter 4. Prune and Deadhead. August is a time for tidying, for bringing a sense of order to the garden before the chaos of autumn sets in. And one of the best ways to do this is with a bit of judicious pruning and deadheading. Now, deadheading is simply the act of removing spent flowers. It might seem a bit ruthless, but trust me, your plants will thank you for it. You see, when a flower fades, the plant puts its energy into producing seeds. But if you remove the flower before it has a chance to set seed, you redirect that energy back into producing more blooms. It's a simple trick, but it can make a world of difference. And while you're at it, take a look at your summer flowering shrubs. Once they've finished blooming, give them a light prune to keep them in shape. This will encourage bushier growth and a more abundant display of flowers next year. And don't be afraid to be a bit ruthless with any overgrown or diseased branches. Removing them will improve air circulation, reducing the risk of fungal diseases and making your garden a healthier place for all your plants. Chapter 5. Pest and Disease Control. Now, August can be a challenging month when it comes to pests and diseases. The warm, humid weather creates the perfect breeding ground for all sorts of nasties, and your plants, already stressed by the heat, can be particularly susceptible. But don't despair. The key to keeping on top of pests and diseases is vigilance. Make it a habit to inspect your plants regularly, running your fingers over the leaves, checking under the leaves, and looking for any signs of trouble. Early detection is crucial. The sooner you spot a problem, the easier it will be to deal with. And remember, prevention is always better than cure. There are plenty of organic methods you can use to deter pests and diseases, from companion planting to homemade sprays. Neem oil, for example, is a natural insecticide that can be very effective against a wide range of pests. Insecticidal soap is another good option, and you can even make your own by mixing a few drops of dish soap with water. And of course, there's always the good old-fashioned method of hand-picking. It might seem a bit tedious, but it's surprisingly therapeutic, and it's a great way to get up close and personal with your plants. Chapter 6. Mulch and Weed. Now let's talk about two of the most essential tasks in any gardener's repertoire: mulching and weeding. These are the unsung heroes of the garden, the tasks that might not be the most glamorous, but they make a world of difference to the health and vitality of your plants. Mulching is, quite simply, the act of applying a layer of material to the surface of the soil around your plants. This material can be anything from bark chippings to straw to grass clippings. The benefits of mulching are manifold. It helps to retain moisture in the soil, suppresses weeds by blocking out the light they need to germinate, and regulates soil temperature, keeping the roots of your plants cool in summer and warm in winter. Weeding, on the other hand, is all about removing unwanted plants from your garden. Weeds compete with your plants for water, nutrients, and light, so it's important to keep them in check. There are various methods of weeding, from hand weeding to hoeing to using chemical weed killers. The best method for you will depend on the size of your garden, the type of weeds you have, and your personal preferences. But whichever method you choose, the important thing is to be consistent. Regular weeding will save you a lot of time and effort in the long run. Chapter 7. Plan for next season. As August progresses and the summer begins to wane, it's a good time to start thinking about next year's garden. Now, I don't mean planning every last detail, but taking stock of what worked well this year and what could be improved. A garden journal can be an invaluable tool for this. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a notebook where you can jot down your observations, successes, and failures. What varieties of tomatoes grew well for you this year? Did you have any problems with pests or diseases? Were there any areas of the garden that were particularly productive or unproductive? Answering these questions now will help you to make more informed decisions about what to plant and where to plant it next year. It's all part of that ongoing conversation with your garden, that constant learning and adapting that makes gardening such a rewarding pursuit. Chapter 8. Feed your plants. Now, as we move through August, your plants are putting on a final burst of growth before the autumn sets in. They're like athletes in training, needing that extra boost of energy to perform at their best. And that's where feeding comes in. Just like us, plants need a balanced diet to thrive. They need nitrogen for leafy growth, phosphorus for strong roots and flowers, and potassium for overall health and disease resistance. You can provide these nutrients by feeding your plants with a good quality fertilizer. There are many different types of fertilizer available, so it's important to choose one that's appropriate for the type of plants you're growing. If you're not sure what to choose, your local garden center should be able to advise you. And remember, it's always better to err on the side of caution when it comes to fertilizing. Too much fertilizer can be just as harmful as too little. Follow the instructions on the packaging carefully, and your plants will reward you with healthy growth and abundant blooms. Chapter 9. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. And finally, as August draws to a close, take some time to simply enjoy the fruits of your labor. Step back, admire the beauty you've created, and savor the peace and tranquility of your garden. Invite friends and family over to share the bounty of your harvest. Host a garden party, a barbecue, or a simple picnic lunch surrounded by the sights and scents of your garden. There's something truly special about sharing the fruits of your labor with others. It's a way of connecting with nature, with the seasons, and with each other. And as you sit there, surrounded by the beauty you've helped to create, take a moment to appreciate the journey. The early mornings, the sore muscles, the occasional setbacks, they've all been worth it. Because in the end, gardening is about so much more than just growing plants. It's about nurturing life, connecting with nature, and finding peace and tranquility in the midst of our busy lives. Outro. Happy gardening. August is a busy month in the garden, but with careful planning and diligent care, you can keep your garden thriving through the heat of summer and prepare it for the coming fall. By staying on top of watering, harvesting, planting, and maintenance tasks, you'll ensure a bountiful and beautiful garden all year round. Happy gardening,